Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. The main question for this video was, when I started making this video, has HDR changed since patch 103 compared to the retail version? And very short answer, no, it has not. So the HDR implementation is exactly the same as it was in the demo version or in the retail version with the day one patch. But I have today new recommended HDR settings, and that's because in my last video I made a mistake. Okay, first of all, let me apologize for my wrong HDR settings in my last video. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not too far away, but it's still wrong. And I like to correct myself because, yeah, that's how it is, okay? So what happened is I have an issue with the PlayStation 5 in combination with my Elgato capturing card. Just with the PlayStation 5 at the moment, the Xbox Series X is just working flawless. So what I've done is, just by accident at some point, I tested Ratchet & Clank and I found that the HDR measurements what I have taken couldn't be right. And I found a little bit of an issue with my Elgato capturing card in combination with the PlayStation 5. So, and then of course I rechecked or I reviewed Final Fantasy 16, and what I found is, shit, I'm actually not correct. Because, so if you remember correctly, and I will most likely do a video about the issue in combination with showing you actually a new tool what I got recently, which makes HDR measurements so much easier. But just quickly explained, Final Fantasy 16, if you set up the PlayStation 5 in the correct way, let's say with the LG G2, you know, when we're going to the HDR calibration screen. So let me just quickly show you this. And just HDR, yes, we're closing the game. So usually for the LG G2 is around 15 to 16 clicks, okay? So you're not sure if my camera can catch this right now, the sun. So usually it's 15 clicks from the very beginning, okay? Roughly 15 or 16 clicks for 1000 nits, okay? If you do this, HDR, the HDR maximum peak brightness in Final Fantasy 16 is around 3000 nits, okay? It should be 1000 nits, okay? So this is still not correct, okay? This is correct, but the HDR implementation in Final Fantasy 16 is not correct, okay? So it's just taking the wrong values, okay? And nothing has changed about this, okay? So it's still wrong. But what was wrong is that I actually recommended too many clicks. So I think it was it 9 clicks for the LG ZX? I can't remember, but it's still too much. So in this video I have verified my results. They are not that far off, but still, when you used my recommendation from my last video, you have actually too high maximum peak brightness in the game, which of course leads to a lot of clipping and specular highlights. And yeah, today we're going to correct this. Okay, so first of all, nothing has changed in my general recommendation to use dynamic tone mapping on over HDR with adjusted in-game settings, brightness in-game settings in the game. Nothing has changed because I still think that dynamic tone mapping on is just a better choice in this game. I don't like HDR at all. It probably has something to do with the wrong HDR calibration setup in combination with the PlayStation 5. I just found the picture with HDR enabled on the OLED TVs, LG G2 or the CX, just dull, boring, washed out, okay? So keep in mind, dynamic tone mapping on, I recommend to decrease the brightness, the in-game brightness in the game to around maximum 2, rather 1 or maybe 0 if you like it, but don't go over 2 because you will have just a very washed out picture. And on the Samsung OLED TVs I actually recommend to use contrast enhancer set to low with adjusted in-game settings, also around 1, maximum 2. And now for the very first time on this channel I'm going to present you the new tool what I'm going to use in future videos to analyze HDR, which makes it so much easier actually to tell you the right settings. And especially when we're talking about HDR black level rays, this tool here, what you can see here, is amazing. And special thanks to JDSP, which he has a YouTube channel, and he brought me actually, or he made a video about this this great tool. And I'm going to do a video about this tool and explain a little bit more in detail how it works and what you can do actually with this. But just very short, long story short, it's not just this, you know. So first of all, it's reshade. We're using reshade in combination with a video player, and the possibilities are almost endless. Okay, what is very important is this at the moment, brightness histogram, and it is so simple now to actually prove if a game has HDR black level rays or not. And in this case, as you can see right now, it does look terrible, but you can also see, hopefully here in the corner, that we have actually perfect HDR black level rays. So let me just go quickly in a very dark corner and we have a look again here. This is just perfect HDR black level rays. There's no elevated black levels. The black floor is just perfect, and even we increasing actually the brightness here, which right now is set to 5 to 10, you can see, just get out here, just give me a second, you can see that the HDR black level rays or the black level floor is still very, very good. Of course, setting this to 10 is of course completely wrong. That's why the whole picture will not look good anymore. But you can see when we change this to 0 that we have actually perfect HDR black level rays. So this game, or the tool in general, is a great thing, or great, how should I say, a great addition to my channel actually, to make HDR recommendations in the future much easier. And here we are with my new recommended settings for Final Fantasy 16 on the PlayStation 5. And what you can see here, complete different values. They are actually not too far off, but in terms of maximum peak brightness, they're actually really far off. But this is my new recommendation for the LG CX, which has a roughly a maximum peak brightness of around 750 nits. Yes, I know in my different or other spreadsheet I put 800 nits in, but to be very honest, real measurements is more around 750 nits. Okay, so now I'm recommending 5 to 6 clicks in the PlayStation 5 HDR menu. 5 to 6, which gives you around, 5 is around 720 candela, 6 is already 880. So that's why I'm saying 5 to 6, because you can see Final Fantasy 16 PlayStation 5 HDR calibration is actually far off. Something is terrible wrong, and I just hope they will fix it in a future update. So for the LG G2, roughly a maximum peak brightness of around 1000 nits. Make 7 steps or 7 clicks for the first 2 screens. The LG G3, today talking is not quite simple, not very simple. LG G3 1400 nits, the same for the S95C 1400 nits, roughly 9 clicks. For the S95B, same as for the LG G2, because 1000 nits, roughly maximum peak brightness, 7 clicks. And before now people asking what is he talking about, what does he mean with clicks and whatever, I'm talking about this menu on the PlayStation 5. So all what you have to do is you open up your HDR calibration screen and you go completely down until this is grayed out actually, and then you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the LG CX. Okay, for an example, next screen exactly the same, go down until this is completely grayed out, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you press next. This, the last screen, leave it on the lowest setting. Okay, this must be grayed out, otherwise with every click you have actually additional gray, or you elevating the black level floor. Okay, so we don't like this. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so again, go down completely until you can't see this anymore, and then you just count the steps what you need for your TV. So again, nothing has changed, or not much has changed in terms of my recommendation. I still prefer dynamic tone mapping on for the LG OLED TVs, in combination with our in-game setting around 1 to 2. Okay, so maximum 2 with dynamic tone mapping on. With HDHG, you have to use something around 5, because otherwise I found the picture way too dark. But then the higher you get with the in-game settings, the more the picture looks washed out. And again, we already established there's no HDR black level rays. You just make the whole gamma curve just very whitish, you know, it's just washed out. It just doesn't look good. That's why dynamic tone mapping on or on the Samsung OLED TVs, contrast enhancer set to low, because this is very similar actually what then the LG OLED TVs are doing with dynamic tone mapping on. And I tried it actually on the Samsung OLED TVs, changing static to active, the HDR tone mapping. There is not much of a difference, to be very honest, okay? Between static and active, not much of a difference. It looks very similar to HDR. Not quite the same, a little bit brighter than HDR on the OLED TVs. That's why I'm recommending also 5, maximum 5. But contrast enhancer low on the Samsung OLED TV with the brightness set, in-game brightness set to 1 to 2 is also, in my opinion, yeah, the best compromise. Okay, my friends, so that's it for this very short video, very quick video. I hope it was quick. I lost actually how long it was already. HDR settings. With patch 103, nothing has changed. The only thing what has changed, that I corrected my mistake what I made because of the PlayStation 5 or Elgato capturing card. I'm not quite sure which one is the one I can blame for, but it's really weird because the Xbox is working. So maybe it's really PlayStation 5, but I don't know what has changed, to be very honest. I still like the HDR implementation in this game with the correct settings. So again, HDR in my opinion is just, I don't know what they have done wrong, but I think it's really because of the how actually the game is reading the HDR calibration from the PlayStation 5. That's probably the issue, because usually HDR should look very nice, okay, if everything is working. Anyway, I will keep you posted if there is any changes with future patches in terms of HDR. So make sure you like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.